Hello.
Hello everyone. So just give me a few seconds. Let me set my screen. Okay. Is my screen clear for everyone? Okay, perfect. So just before we start, everyone has created the models, correct? Too small, inshallah. Is this big enough? Okay. So whoever hasn't created the model, please reply with no to the chat, because we can't continue until we finish with the models. Okay. Okay. So I'm guessing everyone has an access to the document that I'm showing here, correct? Zoom in, inshallah. I don't want you to type those things. It's gonna be taking a lot of time, and it's most of you are gonna have an errors as an indentation, which means that you're doing like spaces instead of enters or tabs. So that's something that's gonna throw an error with Python. For that reason, I need you to just copy the code here from the documentation that's already been sent to you on page, just let me check exactly. Yeah, so it's gonna be on page 38. Okay, just make sure you copy the classes, starting from the classes. Some of you has asked, where do I type the code? Those lines supposed to be empty from your side. So just whatever you wanna have, like enter and then just paste it. Just to avoid the errors that you might have, just make sure that you type the whole thing correctly. Okay. Whoever have, and I'm guessing this is like gonna happen at least to one of you, whoever have an error that shows an indentation error within their server, it's most likely that's because this is a document and this is an actual code written in Python. So we need just to make sure that you have it enter. So it's just tabbed within the same line, okay? I'm just doing right now as an example, because I know some of you has written already that you have an indentation error. So, could we move on? I'm waiting for some answers. Yes? Okay, perfect, sounds good. All right, so after you type the, you posted the models, you need to run this command, which is, I'll just also, I think this is going to be confusing for some of you. Just type Python manage make migration main within your console. Okay, it's supposed to show something like that. Okay, so let me try to run it. It's either you can type, this is one of the things that's just some tricks. It's either you can type Python or instead /manage.py make migrations. Then you can just click enter without even typing main. Okay, so I didn't have any kind of changes. Then you can do like also .manage.py migrate. And for me, there's no migration applies because Hunaid has already did it. But for those who haven't done it yet, they're supposed to see something like that. and then whenever they run the migrate command, something like some file number, and then okay. Okay. Do you all have done this step so far? Who haven't done it, please say, type no. Okay, then I'll move on. You all have access to your admin panel, am I correct? She's gonna be. I'm gonna run server. I'll try to just. It's good. Run server. Yeah, clock in. Okay. So this. A clear view. The last part on the last after the last dash. Okay, just remove it and type admin to access your super admin. Okay, so I'll type admin. Okay, so this is not my super user. Sorry. So I'll just create a super user for me. Can you send the run server? It's within your documentation, but I'll just type it for quick. Sorry. Okay. Or so between those both commands, just to clarify everything, the / activate Python, or by typing Python itself. Both means that you're telling the shell to activate Python scripts. Okay. So we're gonna do like Control C because I don't know what's we need. This is a command that I'll be doing for those who doesn't have a didn't create super user. Okay, you can type just create super user. I forgot the user. That's fine in programming. Okay, so I'll have an admin, then as an Arwa, then. Okay, email address. I'm gonna have Arwa admin. Oh, sorry, that's my bad as well. Okay, sorry, I'm supposed to run the server. So as you can see, those kind of errors, it's normal, even if you're used to the platform. Okay. Oh, come on. Okay. So what I want to do, or what I want you to do basically, is to create a few posts over here. So this is our post model. Just to give you a quick idea. So what we have done so far is we have created Django, which is a framework. We have created models, which built our databases or our tables. And we have two tables so far, one of them called post and one of them called author. because our end vision is to build a blog, basically. Okay, so every blog will have a set of articles, and every article will have an author. Just keep in mind this is a simplified idea, so we're not going to complicate it. But in most projects or big projects, you will have multiple models. It goes up to 10, sometimes 20 classes. So I would need you guys to create a few posts here. Just play around with it. Okay. So this is what models basically means. Right now, then after all, we created something within admin PY. Admin PY folder is for the admin dashboard, which is what you're seeing here. So basically what I'm telling Django within my backend, or within my code, is in my admin site, register the model post, which is shown here as posts, okay? And then an admin site, register the model author, which is this one, the model author. Okay, Fajr, what's your error? Okay, just make sure that in your models PY, you have under the name of, let's see. Okay, so under the name of post, post object does not have an attribute name. Did you call a name in anywhere as in the string? If anyone have an issue, please contact one of the TAs, which is Seham, Shuruq, Dr. Zainab, Hunaid, and any one of the co-hosts, basically. Okay, should I move on? Please type yes if this makes all sense to you. Great. Okay, you're ready. Good to know, Ayman. Okay, so this is what we have created so far. And the more complex sites, we would need something that we would enter the logic, the business logic. So for an e-commerce website, for example, you would need to have like the quantity, the inventory, something that count down, those kind of stuff. So the whole business logic goes under the file called views.py. Okay. So this is your basically your major or your core file that we're gonna be working on in Django. So basically what views have is taking some of the models, take some of the objects, what you have created, put the logic into it, then render it to the templates where a normal user would see it. Okay, so right now, views works closely with something that called URLs. URL is basically every link you have. So let's say that www.youtube.com, this is the URL. Wherever you want to have is google.com is also a URL. And in our case, we have the, our shell is our URLs, okay? So right now our website is gonna have, you could notice this in multiple websites. You will see like www, the domain name, then dash, let's say all posts, where this page will list all of your posts. And then dash, for example, 1 or 2, which means you're going into a specific post. I'm not gonna get into details right now because this is gonna be covered tomorrow, inshallah. So this is just an idea to understand what URL. In Okay, so in Django we have URLs under the blog. So the blog is the project name, and main is the app name. This is because we're doing a small app, so we only need one folder of main. But in bigger projects, you might have multiple apps, which will have their own models, their own views, so that you wouldn't have like a lot of code in one file, in a way to like lighten the whole website. So for now, we would like goes to URL PY, please. Okay. We would like to include, this is your URL. This is your URL PY file. We're supposed to add, gonna type enter, then path. We're gonna keep an empty, which will means that we'll have an include our app name, which is main.urls. Okay. What does this line mean is that wherever we have an empty, which is we don't have like a name after the website, after the domain, please include main, which is the app name here, .urls file, which we don't have it until now. Okay. On which screen you want to zoom in, Ayman? The URLs, the editor, or the whole thing? Okay, is this clear enough? Okay, so this one here is showing an error. And if you want to see within my server, or sorry, my console, you would see the type error, which means that we will need to include it, import it. So near the path, just type and have an include. Okay. This error is supposed to go away. Just give it a few seconds. Okay. Then under main, right click, new file. We will call it urls.py. And it's really important to add the py. That means this is the extension of the file, and this will be read only in Python, or sorry, the language will be written in Python. Okay, so you're supposed to have an empty file here. Should I move on? Should I go faster? Or am I at the good speed with you all? I need an answer through the chat, please. Go slower? Okay. So on the main folder, right click, create a new file, then name it urls.py. I have already created the file, so but you're supposed to click on OK if this is what you're asking for. And do you all have this line included in your blog.urls? Okay. Did you import? Make sure that you have imported include at the top. Okay. So just make sure that's under main, right click, new file, create urls.py. Okay, just a second, because I think I'm using a different screen. That's why most of you have an issue with the Zoom. Just give me a few. I stopped sharing my screen, so just bear with me a little bit. Okay, I think we're good to go. Okay, so is my screen clear now? Oh, okay, is it clear now? Okay, great. So right now we're gonna be having the main URLs. This is one of the most important files that you need to create it already. Okay, so do you all have under main folder, sorry, urls.py, and it's supposed to be empty. Okay, so in our main URLs, so this is the URLs we're going to be adding for our posts. Let's try to import first. So in the documentation on page 45, you would see importing from Django dot URLs import path, then from dot, and I'll explain that shortly, import models. Okay, so what does the dot mean here? Stands for is from the same directory as the file is, which means the main. From the same directory, import models file. Okay, so after that we will add URL patterns equal to a list, which is what we have learned earlier today. We will do a path, and we will set it to an empty. Then we will have views dot hello world with a name of hi, for example. It's fine. You can name it whatever you want. I'm just gonna I'm gonna follow the less confusion. Okay, so if I'll be running my server, an error supposed to be thrown. Yes. Okay. Okay. So there is a typo here. Sorry, that's my bad. Okay. Okay. So right now there is a name error. Okay, which means that views is not defined. So we could do like models. You would add. We need to import it. So basically, what I'm telling Django here, just for you guys to understand the line, is we have something called views, and there is a function called hello world. Okay, which is this view will be rendering this file. But since I haven't imported the file at the top, it wouldn't be defined. So what we need to do is we will import views. Okay. Okay, let me just. Now, please open your views.py. So views.py will be handling all your functions, which is what Shuruq have explained earlier. Okay, so we will be building our own functions. Okay, since we already have imported the function called hello world, we will create that within our view. Okay, so let's type def space hello world. Then it will take a request. Okay, then we will have this supposed to return. Having a typos. Okay, so this will have to return HTTP response, which will take a string with, let's say, hi all, you made it. Yay. Okay. So we need to just let Django know that we are using HTTP response. So we would need to import it at the top near the render. Just keep import render then HTTP response. Okay. Right now you're supposed, whenever you're running your server, let me just run my server. Okay. Click on the page, which is, I'm going to be clicking on it directly. So you're supposed to have the text here shown, which is whatever you have added within the string. So let me just try to do like, this is Arwa saying hi guys. Okay, and that's supposed to be shown whenever, if we refresh the page, you can see whatever I have just added, it will be rendering within the page. Does everyone have, before I proceed? Okay. Abir, what did you miss before we proceed? Name error. Could you, Shaheen, could you type the whole error? Supposed to add the name error under between like quotes. So of view or of models. What kind of? Okay, name HTTP. Okay, did you import it here, Shaheen? Just make sure that you have added it at the top of the views file. And make sure that it doesn't have a typo. So you're not missing a letter or something else. Okay. So we've created our first page. Basically, it's very basic. There's nothing on it. It's just a pure text that I have rendered within the page. I would like now to get into more complex things, but before we get into that, I just need to make sure that you all guys are on the same page. So can you type yes within the chat, please? So whoever have an error, please speak with one of the TAs, which is the co-host. For the rest, I'll be continuing with the lesson. Okay, so this is the basic view, but in the actual website, we would need like to have a designed template or a designed page, let's say. Okay, so HTTP response won't work for us on the long term. So what we're going to be creating right now, since we already have created within our databases the posts that we already did, so we want to show all those posts for the page. Okay, so we will create a new function called, I'll just be changing this function instead of typing the whole thing. I'll be having something called post list, okay, which will take a request and it will return something called render, okay, then parentheses, and it will take 3 arguments. We call them 3 arguments. So request, then the second thing is the HTML file, post.list.html, and it has to have the extension of the file to make sure that Django is reading an HTML file. We will get into that in more depth tomorrow. And the last thing is a dictionary, and to simplify things, we will keep it an empty dictionary. Okay. If you can see that I have got an error, which means that main views has no attribute hello world, and this is because Django is reading the URL, which will render. Sorry, not this file, which will be reading the in views hello world, which I have just deleted it. So that totally makes sense. Let's delete that and update it with our new function name, which is called post list. So the name that goes here under the URLs file, it has to be the exact same name as the function in our views. It has to be, it's a must. This is like a rule within Django. Okay, so I'll keep this one as post list as well. Okay. Now I'll run my server again, and it's working. Okay, so I'll just reload the server. Okay, and this is, if you all guys have this kind of page, yellow page, congratulations, this is your first Django error. And you will have a lot of that coming your way. So debugging is part of your development path or career, let's say, in a way. So this is an error from Django, which means that Django actually reading or processing the view, but it's saying that there is no templates. Basically, the logic behind it is that rendering something called post.html file, but it does not exist. Okay, so this is what's Django. So Django is looking for a file that's called postlist.html, but it's not being found, and that because we haven't created that file yet. Do you all have this error? And I hope so, to be honest. Perfect. Okay. So right now we will create a folder that will hold all of our HTML files, or all of our templates, basically. Okay, so that folder, just to make sure, I'll just zoom out a little bit so you won't get confused. So we have our project name is blog, and we have a second blog folder underneath it. Make sure that it's the main directory that you have create the folder. Okay, so we're gonna have something called templates. Okay, so we will have a blog main and templates, then plus those kind of things. Okay, just make sure that templates goes under blog. It wouldn't be a big issue, just it would be confusing or a little bit extra work for us to find the folder. Okay, so another thing we would like to do is open our settings PY file again. Okay, and there is under, I'm guessing you might have the same line. In line 58, we're gonna have something called DIRs here. Okay, we just need to specify the path for templates. So basically what we're saying that in our templates, the dictionary or the directory is gonna be taking this path, which is our base directory, the blog, okay, under the name of folder, which is basically that one. Okay, all right, perfect. So once you're done with that, let's move on. Now refresh your page again. Okay, template does not exist still, sorry. So right now under your template folder, okay, right click, create a new file called postlist.html. Okay, postlist.html, and keep it empty. Once you've done that, please reload your page. It's supposed to be white blank page. Do you all have that blank page? Okay, so one of the things you want to keep in mind in our views here, so views works with URL, models, and HTML files. Okay, so whatever file that I called it here, it's supposed to be exactly the same as the file I have mentioned here. So for example, and this is something just to explain, don't type it, okay? I'll just be explaining this. So basically, if I did like posts.html, whenever I reload the page, template does not exist because it's looking for a post.html file which does not exist within my template folder. Okay, so let's say, and you can call it whatever it is. So this is basically a variable, but just to keep referring to it in the future, you want to keep it under the name that makes sense. So let's say all posts that will also throw an error. Okay, but still, if you can notice that the URL is reading the same function, because in my URL file, the function name is being called here. Okay, and the template name is being called whatever is under the template folder. Does that make sense? I'll return it to the actual file name that I have created. Okay, what exactly doesn't make sense, Jason? Should I continue? Have you all created post-list HTML file? Okay, in case of if I'm going too speed, please just type slow. Okay, I'll be checking the chat every now and then. All right, so in my post HTML file, as you can see that it's rendering a white page. So just to make sure that's working, you can type whatever you want here, like Django. Okay, then whenever I refresh, you would see the same exact text that has been showed here. Okay. Okay, I'll slow. So do you all have the post.html file? Jasim Yusrana. Okay, so just open the file, click on it, okay? Make sure it's open here within the tab. Type whatever you want. This is just a test, okay? And go to your server, and you're supposed to see the text shown here, okay? So congratulations, this is your first template. You have created your first view. Now we will get into writing the HTML code, basically. A simple one, very simplified one. Okay, so HTML has to start with an HTML tag. And the tag will have those kind of brackets, the rectangle brackets. Every tag has a closing tag, which means it would have the same code, sorry, but with a backslash. Okay. So every HTML document would be written, would have, sorry, an HTML tag. That means this HTML tag is being read by browsers like Chrome, Safari, Firefox, Explorer. That this file is being written in HTML language, and you can read it as an HTML language. Okay. So we're gonna do another tag called body, which will have most of the logic. I'm supposed to have a backslash here. Okay. So we're gonna have a tag called body. Body will have all the content of the website itself. In some way, yeah, it is like, but there has a different in syntax. Sorry, not Django. Python is like PHP. Django is like Laravel, if you're familiar with PHP framework. Laravel, what other frameworks that you can look into? So, are you familiar, Yaqub, with Laravel? So I'll continue. So the body is, it's usual what have the content of the website, of the page itself, okay? So within the body, we'll have the paragraph, which starts with a tag of P. And in that paragraph, I would say, hi there, okay? Then we need to close the tag. Then we will open a second paragraph, which let's say, congrats. Then we will close that paragraph as well. Okay, now go to your server, click on the link, and you're supposed to see those paragraphs shown in your website. Is anyone falling behind? Perfect. Okay. So you would see in like more sophisticated, like for example, let's take the shell or Google Cloud, you would see that has like the cloud shell here within the tab. It's different than what we're having here, which is the URL itself. That's because HTML takes something called head, okay? And let's say I'll just close head as well. So inside head, we will have something called title, and we would say my blog. Or do instead, let's type, each one of you type their name, Arwa blog, in my case. And we say like title. Okay. Now try to and refresh your page. You would see that the title has been shown on your tab. Okay. And well, you can play around. I have gave you a link within the documentation. You can play around with some of the tags of the HTML, add some of the content on the page. And I think we will leave the rest of the lesson for tomorrow. I think that better way for you all. If anyone have an issue, please type it in the group, in the chat. So we would help them out. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Arwa. Amazing, guys, and so proud of you for finishing up to the stage. If you're still struggling and you need help, then we have some breakout rooms with some of our technical assistants helping. DM me and I will add you to someone that can help. Otherwise, we're going to go forward with the last quiz of today, which is the 50 KD cash prize by AUB, Al-Ahli United Bank. They were very generous in supporting this event, and I hope you win. So, Shuruq. Okay, Shuruq's not there, so I'll go ahead and do it. Just give me 1 second. Okay, apparently we only have Layla with an issue, so okay, and Yusrana. So let me arrange help for them first. Okay, like with every time, can you go to kahoot.it? Let me add it again for you in the chat. Right, so we have a bunch of you active, and hopefully you're still not as exhausted as I think you are. Promise this one won't be too hard. Give it 1 or 2 more minutes to get started. All right, I think we're all set. We have 28 joined, and Dina said wait. I think she's not joined yet. Okay, Dina, we're waiting. A few more seconds. All right, so I'm going to get going. Which tag is in the beginning of any web page? So you just did this right now. So do you remember which tag starts at the beginning of a web page? Okay, most of you got it right. So it is the HTML. That's what tells the browser what it's going to read, basically. What type of code is in the file. All right, way to go, Wadid. Number 2, which tag is a closing tag? Basically, what does it look like? Which one looks like a closing tag? Excellent. Again, Walid, way to go. Come on, everyone, you need to pick up. Is it a must to create urls.py file for each Django application we create? So think again. urls.py. False. A lot of them said false. False is the right question. We don't necessarily need it. So Malik did that one. Very good. Number 4, a template is a file that we can reuse to present different information in a consistent format. True or false? Excellent. Yes, it is true. Shaheen, way to go. Number 5, each HTML page is also divided into 2 elements. Which ones are they? Are they heads and bodies, header and footer, header and body, or doc type and body? Make sure you read them. Excellent. Head and body. Shaheen again. Number 6. Use communicate with a model, templates and URLs. True or false? True. Let it come in a second time. PIP is a package manager specifically for Python packages and modules. I'm not sure we covered that in this class. I think I missed it. Is that true or false? See who got that one. Again, Malik, 1-0. And last but not least, the random method for each. Please make sure you're looking at all of the parentheses. I'm not going to read them out. Good luck. It was number 1. And I hope. Yes, way to go, Ritaj. Excellent. 3rd place. We have Shaheen at 2nd. And number 1, Yusrana. The 2nd time today. Yusrana's won. Way to go, everyone. Okay, so that's it for today. The wrap. Let's just Yusrana's name to the award file. Just 1 sec. Okay, way to go, Yusrana. And that was it for today. Please have a good rest and make sure you're here on time tomorrow. Continue with URL templates, views, Stroke and Arwa, and with a load of bunch of prizes as well. We have an exciting closing ceremony. Make sure you're here till late at night, which is our closing. And we will be awarding the same as these again within the closing ceremony. So good luck and good night. And the room will stay open to fix any issues you have in the next while. And thanks a lot to our technical assistants, Seham, Rajnish, Mohammed Irfan, and our speakers for today, Arwa, Shuruk, and Hunaid. Okay. Good night from everyone.